continuation of angles, but specifically looking at angles in quadrilaterals. So if you could put the title in your big books, Angles in Quadrilaterals, today's date and gwaith dosbarth. So quadrilateral is any four-sided shape. The angles in any quadrilateral, any four-sided shape, will always add up to 360 degrees. So if you can add that fact into your books now, please, because that is something you are going to need to know. It won't tell you that. If you imagine a square, we know it's made up of four 90-degree angles, four right angles. So 90 add 90 add 90 add 90 equals 360, or 4 times 90 is 360, which is why then angles in any four-sided shape add up to 360 degrees. If we look at our first example here, find the size of the angle marked C. So we got this missing angle here we need to find out. But we know three of the angles. We know that this here is equal to 90 degrees. So if we add up the three angles we know, 154, 58 and 90. 4 add 8 is 12, 2 down carry 1. 5 add 5 is 10, add the 9 is 19, and the 1 we carried is 20. 0 down carry 2, 1, add the 2 we carried is 3. So the sum of the three angles we know is 302 degrees. We know that the total of all four is 360. So 360 take away 302 will give us our missing value. 0 take away 2, we can't do it, so we need to borrow from the 6, which becomes 5. 10 take away 2 is 8. 5 take away 0 is 5. 3 take away 3 is nothing, meaning C, or is 0, so C is equal to 58 degrees. Okay, moving on to our next example. So very similar, but this time we're looking for the angle marked Y. However, we've only been given two angles inside of the shape, but we've been given this 110 degrees outside. We need to use this to help us work out this angle here, if I call it X, for example. Well, looking at that, you can see X and 110 are sitting on a straight line. We know that angles in a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So if we do 180, take away 110, you may be able to do this in your head, but there's no harm in doing a tower sum. 0 take away 0 is 0, 8 take away 1 is 7, 1 take away 1 is 0. So we end up with X being 70 degrees. Now that we know 3 out of the 4 angles within the shape, we can add them up. 136, add 73, add 70. 6 add 3 is 9, 3 add 7 is 10, add 7 is 17, 7 down carry 1, 1 add 1 is 2. So we have the sum of these three angles being 279. So to work out our missing angle, 360 take away 279 will give us our answer for Y. 0 take away 9 we can't do, so we borrow from the 6, which becomes 5. 0 becomes 10. 10 take away 9 is 1. 5 take away 7 we can't do it, so we borrow from the 3, which becomes 2. 15 take away 7 is 8. 2 take away 2 is 0. So we're left with Y is equal to 81 degrees. If ever you wanted to check this, if we added 81 to 279, it would give us a total of 360. Therefore, we know we are correct. Okay, moving on to our next example. Find the size of the angle marked X. We're looking at this shape here. It's telling us that these two sides are equal with the dashes, and so are these two here. That tells us this shape is a kite. So there's a fact we need to know about angles in a kite, and that is that these two angles here are always equal. Just by looking at them, you can see they look the same, but in actual fact they are in all kites. So we can write this angle in as 110 degrees. Now we're in the same position again. We know 3 out of the 4 angles. So 110, add 110, add 74. 0 add 0, add 4 is 4. 1 add 1 is 2, add 7 is 9. 1 add 1 is 2. So we get the sum of these 3 angles being 294 degrees. We know that all 4 add up to 360 degrees. So 360, take away 294. 0 take away 4, we can't do it, so we borrow from the 6, which becomes 5. 0 becomes 10. 10 take away 4 is 6. 5 take away 9, we can't do it, so we borrow from 3, which becomes 2. And at 5 becomes 15. 15 take away 9 is 6. 2 take away 2 equals 0. So x is equal to 66 degrees. Moving on to another example. Again, we got a kite shape here. This time, we've been given these 2 angles, but we need to work out x. Using the fact from the previous example, we know that x is the same both at B and C. So we need to slightly alter our method here, adding up the 2 angles that we know. 98 add 68. 8 add 8 is 16, 6 down carry 1. 9 add 6 is 15, and the one we carried is 16. So you get 166 is the total for these 2 angles. We know that they all need to add up to 360, so 360 take away 166 will tell us what's remaining. 0 take away 6 we can't do, so we need to borrow from the 6, which becomes 5. 10 take away 6 is 4. 5 take away 6, again we can't do that, so we borrow from the 3, which becomes 2. 15 take away 6 is 9. 2 take away 1 is 1. We are left with 194 degrees for these 2 angles. We know that these 2 angles are identical. Therefore, if we halve the 194, we'll find out what each of them is worth. So you can either do it as 194 divided by 2, but if you don't know that in your head, there is no harm in doing a bus stop. How many 2's are in 1? 0, carry the 1. How many 2's are in 19? 9, remainder 1. How many 2's in 14? 7. Meaning x is equal to 97 degrees. Okay, and again, if we added up 98, 68, 97 and 97, our total should be 360 degrees. Moving on to our last example, this time it tells us ABCD is a parallelogram. Calculate the size of angle Y. Again, like with the kite where there's specific rules for the angles, we've got the same with parallelograms. With a parallelogram, the opposite angles are always equal, meaning D and B are always the same. Same with A and C. These 2 angles will always be equal. So we can start with the fact that D equals 114 degrees, but we are being asked to calculate the angle Y. Well, if we look at this shape here, we have got a triangle. You already know how to work out angles in a triangle, and as we have 2 out of the 3 angles, we can work out what's missing by adding up the 114 and the 27. 4 add 7 is 11, 1 down carry 1. 1 add 1 is 2, and the one we carried is 4. 1 add 0 is 1. So we end up with 141. We know angles in a triangle adds up to 180, so 180 take away 141 will tell us what we're left with. 0 take away 1 we can't do, so we need to borrow from the 8, which becomes 7. 0 becomes 10. 10 take away 1 is 9, 7 take away 4 is 3, 1 take away 1 is 0. Therefore, y is equal to 39 degrees. There is another method that we can use to work out y by adding up these two and taking away from 360 and then finding out what's left then for A and C. However, this way, it's the quickest method to work it out. That's all of your examples done, so now there'll be an assignment for you to complete.